How to know your vessel is real. As a practicing Muslim, I take jinn conjuring seriously as it is no game to mess with people's trust and lives. However, what I see available on the internet has a lot of things that many conjurers, myself included, recognize as not being possible. For instance, when I conjure a jinn, it takes 90 days. So, as I see it, it is impossible to sell hundreds of jinns for $10 each. A jinn is an entity you must treat as a living being, so to dishonor it by binding it to shoes and plastic jewelry is obviously a lie. There is a higher than likely chance it is not what it claims to be. People also claim their vessels are ancient, but if you do a search for belly dancer rings, coochie rings, and Uzbekistan ring, you will see that they look like ancient rings available on the internet. To help discern genuine from fake, look at things that don't make sense. For instance, it is unlikely a Merid, Ifrit, and Ghoul would share the same ring. Their energies would clash. Also, the fact that so many conjurers claim to be able to prepare jinn, but they can't. If you decide you want to get a real jinn, take into consideration when the jinn will be prepared and what it will be bound to. It cannot be bound to a regular object in your home. Jinns are bound to a specific kind of stone or the metal around the stone, depending on the type of jinn. There are specific symbols engraved on the piece to hold the jinn in its place and prevent it from causing harm. So you cannot get a plain band silver ring and say it is inhabited by a king jinn. One jinn takes a long time to bind, so it is unlikely a king with thousands of followers would allow itself to be bound. For one, preventing a single jinn from causing harm is hard enough. Trying to deal with 1,000 would be impossible. 2, they are nearly impossible to locate. You just don't have a king hanging out waiting to be bound. It just doesn't happen. Look out for sellers who use religion to push jinn products and repeating things that are inaccurate. Like saying, Allah said jinn were created to help man. Please tell me where in the Quran, in any hadith, Allah said this. In the world of true collectors, you need to know facts from assumptions. If the seller slips on the details, that may hint at other things slipping up. With relatively decent sensitivity, you should not be waiting a year to feel something. If you have a real jinn, you would know. It's that simple. It's true you should bond and get to know each other over time, but if the bond is strong and decent, it will make itself known. By the way, clenching a vessel in your hand tightly and feeling a pulse or heartbeat does not mean that it is the jinn. That is your pulse. Also, if anyone tells you it is blocked because of the city or dimension you reside in, that's false too. Take into consideration certain demonic entities can be bound by a simple portal box. It is much faster and easier to bind lesser demons. However, as I stated before, it can take several months to bind a real jinn, and years to locate and bind royal jinns. With that said, there are real vessels on the market. How to know your vessel is real? You sense energy and specific vibrations. You sense a presence? The vessels feel much heavier. The vessels can move on their own. Depending on the type of jinn, the vessel can be hot and cold. You see shadows, a wisp of smoke, hear voices. You can open sensitivity by opening your chakras using guided meditation. If it's real, you should feel a shock or some swirling energy after a few tries, if not first. These are just a few ways to identify, but even if one does feel this, it can very easily be something that is evil, demonic, and chaotic. Always try to find the methods they use to conjure. You are asking a simple question. You are not asking how to conjure, just the method used. This will tell you much and tell you about the entity. If they say it's a secret, tell them, I didn't ask how it is done. I just want to be aware of the method. For example, Ruhani Ilm, Nurani Ilm, and black magic. Their forthcoming nature will reveal whether they know what they are selling or not.